Hey everybody, Eric Foxman, Balanced Personal Training. And today I woke up, it was 33 degrees outside, very crisp. For some of you, you might say that's cold, but that's pretty typical for Madison, Wisconsin. Leaves are changing color, it's beautiful, fall is really coming, and or rather it's here. And there's something else that arrives around this time of year as well, and that's people getting colds and flus and calling into work or school sick. And you know, before you say, oh, okay, so what are you telling me, Erica? I need to go out and get a flu shot. So I'm not a physician, I don't play one on TV, and I'm not here in the position to prescribe anything like going out and getting a flu shot. I'm just here to give you some good advice. So before you think about, okay, it's all about getting a flu shot, remember there's viruses and then there's bacterial infections, and those are totally different. And what I want to do is talk to you about how not to get sick. Well, what can you do? I mean, you go to the grocery store, you're at work, you're either a student or maybe you're doing parent-teacher conferences, you're going to the gym, you're around thousands of people all the time, and yet you don't get sick. But it seems at this time of year, we seem to be more exposed to it. And I guess the question is why, and also what you can do about it. Well, I'll tell you, the main thing is keeping a very strong and healthy immune system. You know, you think about when someone maybe at work or someone at home, you know, they get a cold sore, right? And their immune system is depressed. They even talk about that on the commercials for that, whatever medicine to help reduce the severity of the cold sore. Right, so it's all about your immune system. What can you do to keep a strong immune system? Because you are constantly exposed to these things. But then if your immune system drops, that's when you get sick. So I want to give you 5 tips. Now each one of these tips can be many, many videos long, books, lots of stuff has been written about it. And I'm going to kind of gloss over it, but you'll get my drift. Because I think very often, you know, as a people, we approach things prophylactically, or at least I like to think that we do, but too often we take a pharmaceutical route, like saying, oh, I need to go and get my flu shot before, and now, like, I'm safe. And that really isn't the case. It might be helpful to get a flu shot, but these 5 things are going to really keep your immune system strong. And the first thing is your diet. Now, I didn't say that you had to go on a diet. What I'm talking about is how you eat, and basically reducing the amount of sugar in your diet. Sugar is linked to depressing your immune system. Now, I remember reading an article, it was a number of years ago, so I apologize for not citing the source, but it was talking about sugar in a regular soda, and most of the colas out there have something like 8 teaspoons of sugar. And this experiment used mice, because that's pretty typical, and an equivalent amount of sugar, you know, for its body weight, it was given to the mouse to eat. And it depressed that mouse's immune system to almost resemble that of someone who is HIV positive for 4 to 5 hours. So when we have a soda with 8 teaspoons of table sugar in there, that is depressing our immune system. And think about it, when you have you know, a soda, okay, you have a cola of some sort, and you're having it with a sandwich with white bread, and you're having chips, think about all the carbs and sugar just in that meal. And then a few hours later you're eating. So if you have a rich carbohydrate diet, you have a lot of sugar, you are going to keep your immune system low. So the best thing you could do, replace those simple sugars with complex carbohydrates, or just reduce your carbs altogether and think more about, you know, having lean proteins, fibrous carbs, all the good stuff like that. So that's the first thing you could do, is in your diet, reduce the amount of sugar that you eat. The second is exercise. Well, what kind of exercise will strengthen my immune system? Exercise. Walking exercise, cardio exercise, stretching exercise, weight resistance exercise, just exercise, moving around. There are tons of studies out there that are trying to figure this out and going, gosh, like what exercise is the best? Because that's a very American thing. We want to do what is the best. And the idea is that you need to be breaking a sweat. You need to be moving your body around. You need to get some resistance. And how you do that is up to you. But you want to be exercising, that is for sure. The second one is getting your sunshine vitamin, and that's vitamin D3. Now, I have family out in Southern California where I was born and raised, and I was checking the weather, and it's quite pleasant and a lot of good sun. So if you go outside for 20 minutes, your body takes the sun and your body makes vitamin D. I don't know if you knew that, but that's how it works. The other night at our dinner table, my youngest, Roy, said, because he had overheard me talking about it, and he goes, we're kind of like plants, aren't we? Because plants take the sun's rays and make energy for itself. And I said, actually, we are very much like plants in that way. And if you don't go out and you don't get sunshine, see, now, if it's 33 degrees outside, I'm bundled up, right? And so my face and my hands are pretty much exposed. But that's not enough sun. Plus, our UV index is very, very low. We're moving away from the sun. And so you need to start looking at getting vitamin D through your diet. Back to the food again. So looking at foods that are high in vitamin D. And then after that, maybe looking at some type of a vitamin D supplement. My wife did a huge amount of reading during her pregnancy. She still does a lot of reading and research. And the latest and greatest about the amount of vitamin D3 for pregnant and nursing women was around 6,000 IU, international units. Now, granted, yes, her body is being used to grow a little person and then feed a little person. But outside of that, what about a regular person who is not, lactating or growing a little person inside? And they're finding that 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 IU of vitamin D is recommended. So make sure you're getting your vitamin D in some way. The sunshine is the best, they say. 20 minutes of that, and your body doesn't do as well through diet. But if you don't have any choice, that's what you got to do. The fourth thing is reducing your stress. Now, like I talked about with cold sores, and it's like, oh, when you're stressed, and boom, this thing pops up, and that's when your immune system has been compromised. So, unlike putting a Band-Aid on a cut, I am more about not just managing stress, like how do I manage it, and do I get a massage, do I meditate, should I read a book? I mean, those things are great, but I like to back up and say, okay, what can I do in the first place so I have very little stress? And a lot of that is the big picture of your outlook on life, how you're approaching things. There are some things that you can't really do a whole lot about. But if you can approach things in a positive manner, try to reduce the amount of time that you're watching cable news, for example. And I can tell you, I know that stresses people out, and everything is breaking news, and it gets our hearts beating, whatever it is. You know what? That's when you turn that thing off. And that's why exercise is so good. And especially if you can exercise with people and you get that social aspect as well. But reducing your stress beforehand, that's what you're trying to do. And when you reduce your stress, then you improve and increase and strengthen your immune system. So if you want to go and get a massage, and that is kind of calming and relaxing, or someone like me going to the gym, or you like to go and read a book at the library, whatever, all that stuff is great, but you got to find a way to manage your stress and reduce it. The fifth thing is making sure that you're sleeping. And I think we are very stimulated. We have devices with the type of light that kind of keeps you alert and awake. and it's not necessarily the best thing in the world. And you think about it, what was going on not all that long ago, but before there were light bulbs and it got dark outside and candles were expensive, right? You worked based on the days, and when it got dark, time to go to sleep. When it got light, you got up and you did your stuff. But now we're just run and gun all the time. And people are missing out on lots of sleep and also quality sleep. Because if you've got a lot of stuff and you're stressed out, that plays itself out in your dreams. It does. And you're like, whoa, that was a bizarre dream. Wait a second, it was real. So, you know what? Make sure that you sleep, get your rest. There was something I remember my oldest brother said many, many years ago, and either he was doing it or he was trying to do it, but he said that he basically would always protect himself by how much sleep he would get. And it would be like, no matter what, hey, I got to get to sleep. I've got a full day in front of me, and it was something I always appreciated about him is his commitment to making sure that he was rested, because he knew himself well enough that, if he tried to get 4 hours of sleep, yeah, he might make it through the next day, but he tries to do that again and he's a train wreck. So that's my tips for you guys. Stay healthy.